joined by the General Manager of the Yulin Mining Complex, a product of regional New South Wales who has worked in the Newcastle and Mudgee regions for more than 20 years. This week, we have Peter Ostermann.
Thank you so much for being a guest on Radio GPS. We appreciate you giving the time today. My name is Bonnie and I'm joined here by Toby, Ruby and Jacob.
So Peter, tell us a bit about yourself. You have a wife and 4 children, is that correct?
It is. I have a wife who's Jeanette. She's from Mackay in Queensland. My 4 children, I have Nicholas, or Nico as we call him, he's 18. Alessandro is 16, Stella is 15, and Dominic is 13.
Ah. Actually, my middle name's Stella.
Oh,
Just a
fantastic.
fun fact there. As a general manager of a mine, what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
So most days when I get to work, I catch up with the operations managers of the 3 sites, and they give me a rundown on the production and safety of how the mine has gone in the last 24 hours or over the weekend. We then may talk about any issues that could be arising and what we need to do to actually help solve those issues.
What is the best and worst things about your job being the manager of 3 mining sites?
So there are a lot more good things than there are bad things about my role. I tend to really enjoy the people side. We've got lots of good people that work at Yulin, and this is not my first time at Yulin. I did first start back there in 2004, so I've actually got some lasting friendships that I did start back then. So the people side of it, working as part of a team, certainly the underground environment does require that. The working in underground mine, I thoroughly enjoy. It's something that I actually did want to do from a younger age. And then now helping develop people, we get lots of younger people who come into the operation, and being able to help them develop and become the leaders that they want to be and become successful at their roles. The things that aren't so good, the biggest frustration that I'll get is when things don't go to plan. But doesn't happen very often, and we do have more success at Yulin than we don't.
We noticed that you travelled to China for your work. What did you do over there and what was China like?
I did. So China was excellent. I went there earlier this year, and that was for a bit of a research around a project. So we have had an issue at site around some of our strata, the environment that we work within, and it is very unique to Yulin. So when we were looking at potential solutions, there is nowhere in Australia that has the same issue. So we actually had to find a solution somewhere else. And we started looking and researching in Europe, in America and Canada, and in China. And China's got lots of mines, so we think Australian coal industry is big, but the industry in China is a lot bigger. So there are thousands of underground mines in China. And we went to some of their more high-profile ones, and where Yulin is we're only about 240 to 340 metres deep. The mines I went to there are between 700 and 900 metres deep. And they've got some very good technology over there, and we went and actually had a look and seen how they did things and if there was any of the technology that we could bring back and help solve our problem.
Yulin Complex employs members of our families and lots of other families at Goulburn Public School, so thanks for that. What does the future look like for Yulin and the complex as you operate?
So the future, so as far as the mine, we've got a life of mine that goes out to 2033. So there's still plenty of work out there, but there is also an extension that we're looking at both to the north and the west, and we do additional exploration out there to see if there is more coal that's going to be able to be recovered. As far as how many people out there, we've got around about 600 people that come and go from the mine, including contractors and permanent people.
So is that like each day?
That's over the week. So on a daily basis, so we have essentially, because of the roster, we have people who work Monday to Thursday at the undergrounds, and then there's other people who work weekends at the undergrounds. At the open cut, they're what we call a 7-day rotating roster. So they work through that. So on any given day across the complex, you're talking around 300-400 people.
Do you think Yulin will ever run out of coal?
It will eventually. So it's a finite resource. We have our life of mine there, but We are trying to extend that, and we'll continue to look for more coal that can be extracted. There are lots of requirements needed to be able to extract coal, so it has to be of the right quality, of the right physical size as far as the seam thickness and where it's located for us to be able to get it. So we do lots of studies before we actually try and get permission from the government to extract the coal.
So at mines, you put this sort of magnetic material in water, and then you put the coal in it, and if the coal floats, that's good coal. What's that material?
Magnetite. So magnetite is a denser medium, so we mix it with water, and it makes the density of water is about 1 kilogram per litre. Yeah. So when you mix that with it, you can increase the density of that fluid to a lot higher. The density of coal can be, when it's broken up, is around 1.1 to 1.2 in its heavier form. So we lift the density of the medium, and then that way everything that's light up, being the coal, floats. And the stone, which has a density of about 2 to 2.4 kilograms per or tons per cubic metre, it'll sink to the bottom. So that way it's what we call the reject. Anything that's not coal sinks, everything that is coal floats, and then we can skim it off the top. That's how we are able to separate the product from the waste.
So do you have to only use magnetite, or is there other materials that you could use?
There has been others. It's the most cost-effective medium that we use, and the best thing about magnetite is because then we reclaim it from the water, and the way we do that is with a giant magnet. So we run the water or the medium over a big magnet, and the magnet picks it up, and then we clean off the magnetite so we can keep reusing it and recycling it.
Have you ever found gold when you were trying to find coal?
No. So unfortunately, coal is a sedimentary rock. So it's from when you form layers. So if you look at the side of a cliff or something, when you look at it, you see different layers. They're all the sedimentary rocks. Okay. So coal was formed, then you get the silt and sand that falls on top, and through heat and compaction is where the actual coal seam, because coal was like the vegetation in the peat before the dinosaurs. Then for gold though, it comes from an igneous rock, which is volcanic. Now there is lots of actually volcanic rocks around the Goulburn region. It's where, if you've ever been out to Hill End, there were gold mines out there. And even out at Yulin across our site, we have what is called dikes and sills, which are more volcanic material. And way back in the 60s, there was an exploration where they were looking for diamonds at one stage because they thought there was what they call a kaolinite pipe out there. So there's been other things we've looked for, but unfortunately we won't find gold. It's the wrong type of material.
Does mines produce electricity?
So we don't produce electricity, we produce the material that provides the energy to create electricity. So the coal is a rock that has the energy. So when it gets burnt, it creates heat. The heat goes to a boiler. Then that boiler creates steam, like an old steam train. And then that then turns a turbine to generate the electricity.
Mm.
How much money does the company contribute each year? It looks like Yulin provided over $1.7 billion last year. Is this correct?
So that is our overall contribution. As far as our local contribution, so for our goods and services, we provide, it was over $430 million that we provide to goods and services last year. And of that, we've also contributed over $550,000 locally to the Mudgee region for organisations. And some of those do include the podcast room here, also includes the Breakfast Club here at Goulburn Public, and a number of the other schools and organisations within the district that we actually help support. Goulburn Show being another one.
You grew up around the Newcastle area. Safe to say you go for the night, even though you worked in Queensland. Please tell us you're a New South Wales supporter.
Absolutely. I'm a Blues lander through and through. I do support the Knights, and little story, when I was younger, I did play rugby league in the town I grew up in, and back then there was a process to be able to get selected to trial for the Knights. And when I was 15 and 16, I actually had that opportunity where I did get to trial for them. So it's a day where there was a lot of people turn up to actually play, and then at the end of it, you can get selected. Unfortunately for me, there was two things I was missing from the feedback I was given, and that was talent and ability, so I never went any further.
We found out you like surfing. Is that true? What else do you get outside our work?
So I did like surfing. That was when I was younger. I stopped surfing a few years ago, probably just before I had kids. And the reason behind that, I used to surf at a beach in Newcastle called Stockton. And Stockton is the big bite within Newcastle. And whilst it was fantastic surfing there was an area there that my friends and I would go surfing. And one day we were out there, and whilst we were sitting there waiting for a set of waves coming through, a fin popped up beside us. That was pretty scary. So it was a very quick race to get back to shore. And once we did that, I found it pretty difficult to go back out there and surf. And as I got older, I tended to move away from it. Now I ride push bikes, is what I enjoy doing on the road, more so than mountain bikes. And I do try and do that to keep fit. Unfortunately, none of my kids like doing it, so I tend to have to do that on my own and work with them. But and as far as my kids are concerned, they like fishing. We have a boat that we go out either off Port Stephens or off Newcastle or in Lake Macquarie are the main places we go. And that's certainly something that they love and I like doing with them.
Thank you so much for your time. We loved hearing about your role and having you as a guest on our podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
What was the nicest meal you had in China?
The food over there was very different, and there was lots of nice banquets that I was a part of. Certainly the dumplings that we get, that they have in China, are far better than what's available in Australia, and the pork dumplings over there were fantastic.
Fried rice is the best thing in the world.
Not even like the little tubs of prawns.
My sister
Oh,
loves fried
I hate
rice.
prawn.
Like, do you like sushi?
I only like honey.
I do like sushi.
Yeah,
Sushi
I love
is pretty
sushi.
nice. I do like the fish.
When I tried to give my friend some sushi, he ate it and he spat it out because he hated the seaweed.
Oh, really?
What type of sushi was it though?
It was just like a quick homemade one, maybe some tuna.
That's my favourite.
Yeah.
My mum loves like the avocado chicken one.
My sister loves that one. She doesn't like the fish one.
What about sashimi, where it's
Sashimi.
just a piece of raw fish? No?
Never tried that.
Haven't tried that?
I
I've
don't eat sushi in my house because we have a fish tank there and then the table there. I don't